Thank you very much for the. All right, sir. Thank you very much for the opportunity. So, first of all, I want to ask the questions for Syarifah Desy Ramadhanti. The first questions is about why do you choose fantasy movie as the media to improve the students' writing ability? I mean, as we know that the implementation of movie in learning and teaching will be take a long time because the duration of the movie is too long. Even to watch the movie will memakan waktu one meeting gitu. So how do you solve these obstacles? That's my questions.
So the first point is why I choose fantasy movies for my topic research. So for my research is focused on the improve the ability writing skills and especially for the material of narrative text. So like I said before, fantasy movie had the structure same like the narrative text, which is narrative text has the genre like fable, myth, legend, and then fairy tale. If I'm not wrong, yes, fairy tale. And fantasy movies is the movie that has the imagination in there. So it is like the fiction, and it's possible for the structure is same like the like the narrative text. Let's take the example like Alice in Wonderland. So that's the fantasy movie that choose the fable in there, and then the fairy tale. So that's the main point and or main reason why I choose fantasy movies for teaching narrative text. Okay, so for the second point, how about the duration and duration of the teaching for movie? I think the standard of the minimum of the duration of the movie is 1 hour or more. I can take the session of 2 hours. So for 1 hour, 1 hour or more, I can take that time for the students watch the movies first, and next 1 hour, I can do the collect data, something like that. Is there anything else?
All right, thank you very much, Desi. And now I will continue with the next questions. My question is that what makes your research different from the previous research? Because in your background, you don't mention the previous research that you are going as the reference, that you use as your reference, and also in your title, you are going to conduct a classroom action research. But in your questions and also in your purpose, you want to know what you want to know is fantasy movie is effective or not to be used in your research. So my question is that which one of the research design you are going to use? Is it classroom action research or experimental research? Because your research question is used for the experimental design. That's my question.
Okay, thank you for the questions again, Ratu. So, for the previous research, is that the difference for the previous research, right? Okay, I think the differences from the previous research is based on the proposal and the previous research that I have searched. They take the same focus, that is improve the narrative text too, and then but in the different method, like they use the short movie, or they use the webtoon, and or they use the animated movie. So I think that's the differences of my research, because I use fantasy movies, and yeah, that I think that's it, the differences. And And that is my fault because I'm not adding the previous research on my background. I'm sorry. And then for the method, I think the method I will choosing the classroom action research because I will do this action for the classroom, right? And I think this about to improve the skills in the classroom and for and only focus into the one of the material that is narrative text. Yeah, and also for the research question, I'm sorry, I think that's it my fault too. I think I have not changed the questions into the classroom action research. I think that's all, Kata.
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, I have the last questions. So my question is that what kind of movie you are going to conduct in your classroom action research? Is it fable movie? Is it about fantasy movie? What is the title of the movie, for example?
Okay, so I think for the title of the movie, of example, I will take the Alice in the Wonderland because it's not very complicated movie and it's very uh, sangat santai aja untuk ditonton, jadi mudah dipahami seperti itu.
Alice in Wonderland. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. So that's all my questions, and now I will continue with the suggestions from me for your research proposal. The first suggestion from me is that for your writing format in your document, please make it more rapi lagi because your paragraph is belum rata tepi kiri dan kanannya juga. The second is that you need to fix your citation style because the citation style that you use in your document is not APA citation style, APA 7 or 6. And then for your paragraph, you need to fix your paragraph writing because the paragraph in your background is too short, that are in one paragraph only 2 sentences or 3 sentences. So from the material that we got from our research paper material, normally one paragraph is consists of 7 to 12 sentences. And then for your research background, you then need to write the keywords of your research, except it's you're writing your abstract. And then if you are going to classroom action research, your research purpose should be to know how does fantasy movie improve student ability in writing text at 10th grade students. And if you are going to use classroom action research, your question should be how does, started with how does fantasy movie improve student ability in writing narrative text. Not to know is fantasy movie effective or not effective. Then for your research terminology, you don't need to explain about classroom action research. Also, you need to write your research significance to make it more clear, to make the your research is more clear, the benefit. And also for the research methodology, should be mentioned after the frame of theory, not before the frame of theory. And then in your research methodology, each page should be explained clearly by you. Especially in acting, you need to write the step that you are going to conduct about in the teaching and learning process. So also in your research methodology, you need to write the first subheading about the techniques of your data collection first. And then in the second subheading, you write about the tools of your data collections. Then you also need to mention the observation table that you are going to use, and also you said in your you are going to conduct the test, so you need to mention the rubric of your test in appendix. And you don't need to mention the reflection in your tools of data collections because it is the part of it is the part of stages in classroom action research. Then in your data analysis explanation, you should explain about how do you analyze the data or the result of students' tests, for example, the results of the observation, and how do you know if student ability is improved or not. And in your data analysis, you are not explain about how to analyze the data, but you explain about the stages in each cycle. So you need to fix it. So that's all from me, Desi. And thank you very much for sir and for the opportunity.
All right. Thank you, Ratu, for the suggestion. I think that still many mistake in my proposals. Oh, your suggestion is very helpful for me. Thank you very much, Ratu.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, you, Belia, for thorough discussion. All right, now I would like to invite the next discussion, Putri Delila. Please have your time.
All right, thank you, sir, for the opportunity. So for Syarifah Desy Ramadhanti, my question is, among all movies genre, why are you interested in using fantasy movie? To your research, and what makes you believe that this is the best genres to improve student ability in writing narrative text? That's my
Okay,
first question.
thank you, Putri, for the questions. So the first question, why I just interested in using fantasy movie? Okay, so the first reason is because I focused this research into the narrative text, into writing narrative text. So because I want to improve their writing skills in the narrative text, so I have to make sure that they have understood what about the narrative text, what is the structure, what is the past tense that we'll use, and what's the uh, kind type and the macam-macam seperti apa itu narrative text. So I try to search about the gambaran yang related to the narrative text that very can be understood by the students also. So that's why I have just fantasy movies, because fantasy movies has the same structure like the narrative text. They have the orientation, they have the event, they have the resolution, and they have the complication. I'm sorry, the complication first and the resolution. So that's why I choose fantasy movies, because I think with the fantasy movie they will be understand what is gambaran seperti apa itu narrative text. So jadi mereka akan lebih gampang untuk mencerna, untuk lebih paham struktur-struktur dari narrative text. Okay, so for the second questions, I think what makes you believe that this genres to improve students. So my beliefs is that because fantasy movies has the related on the what I focus on. So like I said before, I focus on the narrative text, right? So I make sure that is the fantasy movies will be the media that have been genres that will be understand by the students for understand the narrative text. I think that's all, Putri.
All right. For the next question, how fantasy movie will help student to understand the structure of the narrative text? Syarifah Desy.
Okay, thank you. So how fantasy movie will help students to understand the structure of narrative text? Because fantasy movie is the fiction that terdiri dari legenda, mitos, fable, and fairy tale too. It's same like the narrative text, right? So kebanyakan fantasy movie that I have watched is have the same structure like narrative text. like from the orientation like seperti pengenalan karakternya, orientation, and then the event, and then the complication, and the last is the resolution. So like we have like many fantasy movies that I have watched, it has the same resolution, which is the penyelesaian dari complication tersebut. Jadi untuk itu mengapa saya memilih fantasy movie itu supaya murid-murid juga bisa mengerti struktur-struktur dari naratif teks, sehingga they can understand how to write narrative text in the correct structure. I think that's all. Putri?
Okay, Putri.
Alright, Syarifah Desy, I think that's all my question. And for my suggestion, maybe for the movie chosen that you will use, I think you can be more selective, because we know that fantasy movie has complicated like plot and also language feeder, and it's not actually easy to young viewer to understand such complicated plot like that. Okay, I think that's all for me. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Putri, for the questions.
Okay, thank you, Putri, for your questions and suggestions. Now, Syarifah, yeah, there are some questions already discussed by your friends, yeah, but I think I don't need to ask them again. But just to make sure, yeah, so then I understand better about your proposal, so I might repeat a few questions. All right, here the title is the use of fantasy movie to improve student ability in writing narrative text. All right, now first I want to ask to confirm actually, what do you mean by fantasy movie in your research?
What I mean of fantasy movie in my research is the movie that is the have the fiction structure, and it based on the imagination of the director or the writer of the movie, and then fantasy movie has the genre that
I mean like this, yeah. The definition, okay, the definition can be like that. Yeah. You try to describe what fantasy movie look like, but also I think you have to also define the fantasy movie as what you are going to do in your research. For example, like that. So a fantasy movie, usually movie takes almost 2 hours or 1.5 hours. So what do you mean? Are you going to use, of course not possible, right? To use 1.5 hour for teaching writing. So there must be a specific definition. What do you mean by fantasy movie in your case? For example, are you going to break up the movie into shorter parts, and you choose certain parts of the movie to be used in your teaching, or what? That's the definition that actually you have to clarify. Syarifah. So what do you think?
Okay. All right, sir. Okay, I think because it's the main focus of this fantasy movie is the structure about that related to the narrative text. So I think
What do you mean by the structure? The structure of what?
Okay. What I mean by the structure is in the narrative text has the structure, the orientation, the event, the complication, and the resolution, sir. So for the fantasy movie, I think I have shown the students the point of the orientation, the point of the events, and the point of the complication, also the point of the resolution. I think I have mungkin saya tidak akan menayangkan seluruh filmnya, tetapi beberapa potongan yang bisa menunjukkan oh ini loh orientation dari fantasy movie-nya. Jadi ini bakalan sama juga seperti narrative text orientation-nya seperti itu. Mungkin begitu.
Meaning that you are going to cut down and rearrange the movie structure. Do you think that the movie will follow the structure as what you like? You know, let's say the movie start from this section, from orientation, for example, like that, and then followed by complication and so on like that. Do you think that movie will follow as what you think or what you expect, or you yourself will restructure the movie and then you edit the movie and then you show the movie to your students?
I think for the movies, I will memilah-milah lagi, sir, movie yang I will choose yang memang sesuai dengan structure yang saya tentukan gitu, sir.
Okay, now tell me where did you explain about movie that you are going to restructure or you're going to use certain part of movie in your research?
Okay.
Did you?
I think for my purpose for the movie is I'm not cantumkan, sir.
So in this part, for example, this is the part that you have to explain in a short explanation. What do you mean by fantasy movie? So in research, we have to redefine any terminologies that we use in our research. In your case, fantasy movie is very important terms. So fantasy movie is not just a movie, fantasy movie with fantasy genre as what your definition here. You have to define as what will happen in your case. Like what I just said, for example, fantasy movie here is the movie, the movie that already edited, for example, only 10 minutes, where the 10 minutes comprise or have all sections, all the generic structure of was that that's what happened this one. It should wait a minute, what happened? It should be the thing that really happened in your case. The fantasy movie in your case, in your proposal is very important. So that's why you have to be careful, not only the definition, but also how you describe it in your proposal, in any parts, because at least in your proposal, you have two big division. The first one is teaching writing, and the second one is I don't know what happened with your file. It's getting wrong. So I could not watch it. I mean, I could not read it. Can you send it again?
Send it WhatsApp group or where, sir?
WhatsApp group. Yang PDF kalau bisa ya.
Alright, sir.
Ya, saya nggak tahu what happened. Sorry. Sorry. Okay, so while you are resending your proposal, so once again, fantasy movie should be the one that you have to discuss. Yeah? I mean, to explain clearly. So the first part of your proposal is about teaching writing narrative, and the second part is the use of fantasy movie. Yeah. And that fantasy movie should be explained not only the definition, the characteristic of fantasy movie, but the way you are going to use it, whether it is in full, and how you are going to ask your student to watch it. Yeah, like what your friend said. Yeah. Are you going to spend 10 minutes, for example, only for watching movie? So in teaching, yeah, 10 minutes is very long. Yeah. Jadi kalau sedang mengajar itu 10 menit itu sudah panjang sekali. Jadi kalau 10 menit itu digunakan hanya untuk nonton gitu ya, belum lagi nontonnya itu adalah movie yang sudah dipotong-potong seperti itu. Nah, it's really difficult. Kecuali you can find or you can use short movie, yeah. Short movie, this is fantasy short movie, things like that. So you can find that kind of movie. Perhaps that's good. I mean, at least the main parts of the movie is not removed, yeah. But perhaps you only trim the movie, ya. Jadi hanya potong sedikit-sedikit antara di awal dan di akhir, misalkan gitu ya. Sehingga the main parts of movie is available or a student can access. Gimana? Sudah dikirim belum? Syarifah?
It's still loading, sir. Wait a minute.
Saya tidak tahu what happened. Kok hilang semua ininya? Semuanya hilang betul. Apa karena ada virus kayak Allah? Habislah punya saya kalau kena virus. Oke. Atau kamu gini aja, kamu apa? Present. Can you present share screen? I mean. Share screen saja, buka, kemudian share screen, biar saya yang mengendalikannya dari sini. Saya just scroll down ya, because I want to complete. Gimana? You are muted. Gimana? Can you share? Our time is very limited. Syarifah, itu mute, masih mute. Jadi I cannot hear your voice.
Alright, sir. Sir, because HOTS disable participant screen sharing, sir.
Harus assign tapi nggak bisa ya. Aduh, gimana? I cannot remember all things here in your proposal.
Permisi, Sir, tapi kayaknya bisa, Sir, Syarifah Desy-nya dijadikan co-host, jadi dia bisa share screen, Sir.
Ya, cuman bisa nggak dengan versi yang ini maksud saya. Wait a minute. Make host, oke. Nah, sekarang Syarifah sudah saya kasih jadi host juga. Time is running out.
Is my screen available, sir?
Ya, belum muncul, tapi sudah starting. Sudah turunkan ya di bagian apa? Literature review ya, literature review. Ya, literature review-nya masih sangat sedikit ya, so you have to write more ya. Kalau yang begini belum bisa. Kemudian dalam literature review, namanya literature review, itu harus banyak referensi. Dan referensinya jangan yang tua-tua itu apa. Itu masa tahun 70 kamu ambil. Tahun 88 ya nggak bisa ya. Apalagi kalau bicara masalah media. Jadi kamu harus cari buku yang very current. Karena sekarang kita kan media itu benar-benar sekarang eranya media gitu, artinya you need to have the updated resources ya intinya itu ya bahwa harus menggunakan referensi yang cukup di sini karena ini adalah tempat kita menggunakan referensi yaitu literature review ya. Turunkan turun terus ya. Oke. Ya, stop there. Nah, masih tentang ini tadi, ya sekali lagi bahwa benar-benar harus menggunakan referensi ya dan discussion-nya itu tentang writing, ya writing itu teaching writing, kemudian skill of writing apa yang diajarkan. Kemudian fantasi movie itu adalah bagian daripada mungkin fantasi movie for teaching writing itu aja. Nggak usah lagi bicara masalah media. Ataupun kalau mau media boleh tetapi langsung bicara masalah fantasi movie. Karena kalau terlalu lebar, you can actually talk about kecuali teaching media for example like that. So it's okay. Teaching media, particularly you talk the functions or why we use teaching media thing.